Arunima did touch upon it. We'll go back to her again and get more details on this. This is the second case, which is the investigation of the NIA and the Delhi Police Special Cell. Now, in this case, this is an ISIS module that was busted in Kannur in Kerala. 8 suspects linked to the PFI and its affiliates. These people held meetings to quote-unquote save Indian Muslims. The PFI leader Shamir motivated members to join ISIS. Terror suspects planned to get ISIS training in Syria. Shahjahan, Shabir, Manaf and Shajil attempted to even enter Syria. PFI member Mustafa arranged for the fake passports. So Arunima, here, this is yet another group, again associated with the PFI, again influenced by ISIS, and they all wanted to go and serve in Syria.
Yes, and I'm just reading out portions which clearly establish, as per investigators, the linkage between somebody who was radicalized enough to want to travel to Syria and the Popular Front of India. What is it that the investigators say? They say in the Shahjahan case, who was a member of the National Democratic Front, NDF, let me remind our viewers, was a predecessor of the Popular Front of India, the previous avatar of PFI. He gradually got indoctrinated by the NDF leaders, came in contact with local PFI leaders. When NDF turned its form into PFI, this man came in contact with PFI leaders like Harish, Shabir, Manaf, Mustafa, Sadiq, Shajil and others. These are all people who have been named accused in this case for indoctrination. He used to attend all PFI meetings in 2008 where discussions were made on atrocities that were being committed on Muslims by non-believers in India and other parts of the world. Particularly Shamir, who was then the divisional president of the local unit of PFI, indoctrinated Shahjahan with ISIS ideology. So this was not just about discussion of alleged injustice being committed on the Muslim community. They were being deliberately indoctrinated with ISIS ideology. After the declaration of caliphate by Abu Bakr Baghdadi of ISIS, Shamir motivated Shahjahan to go for hijrah as per Hadith and Quran for waging jihad, as directed by Shamir, who was already in Syria. Shahjahan, along with his wife and 2 sons, went to Malaysia in October 2016 and then from there to Syria. So that is the level of indoctrination and recruitment for ISIS that NIA investigation has found out. That's what NIA is alleging as far as PFI's role in terror conspiracy is concerned.
Now, just read the last paragraph. That's all the more interesting in this, Arunima. They say that in Malaysia, once they went to Malaysia, Shahjahan, his wife, and he took his 2 children, 2 sons also there. There they were met by another person, Rashid. Yes. And they further moved from Iran to Iran from Malaysia. In Iran, Shajil and his family and Mildaj joined the group via Mangalore, Dubai, Iran, then further proceeded to Istanbul, Turkey. So this is like an organized, established network to export cadre from here to go and join the Daesh.
Absolutely, and this is the case where I was talking to you about the role of a police man as well. If you see that list of accused there, one of the names that has come up, other than of course Rashid and others, one of the name that has come up is that of a head constable K. Murugan, who's charge sheeted and prosecution has been recommended, and the charge against him is that he criminally conspired for arranging Indian passport. Now his case could well be that he was not aware of where Shahjahan was going and for what purpose, but nonetheless the fact that a head constable of Indian police is trying to arrange for a fake passport and a fake name for somebody tells you how much Popular Front of India was playing with the minds of people.
Now this investigation also goes on to say that one of them was actually deported. He was sent back to India, he was arrested. This was a law enforcement agencies of Turkey apprehended Shahjahan and deported to India on February 10, 2017. However, Abdul Manaf managed to cross the border and get in from Turkey into Syria. So they are actively like a feeder source, Pathikrit Pine. The PFI was a feeder source.
Yes, of course. In fact, if you look at it, Anand, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Go ahead, please.
If you look at it, there was this another person who was working on behalf of ISIS to actually rope in people to join ISIS. See, if you look at PFI, individuals going to Turkey and then taking the transit from Turkey to Syria, even the ISIS cohorts in Syria, where Turkey would not have allowed them unless they have an institutional backup through an organization whom they trust. And that's where I think PFI role comes in, because without the backing of PFI, they would not have allowed individuals to go, because they would also have the fear of their, the counterparts infiltrating their organization. And if you look at the sophistication with which things happened in case of within India, in terms of mobilizing, in terms of indoctrinating, and then arranging for the passports and then sending it to Istanbul, that shows that PFI, an organization and its umbrella organizations, were very much active into it. Otherwise, something like this simply cannot happen. You simply cannot get hold of somebody and tomorrow and ask him to go and fight for ISIS. It would simply not happen. And of course, PFI is a Wahhabi organization. There is no denial that there is enough trail to prove that they have been receiving funds from the Middle East for these ulterior objectives, which is about creating a Sharia law. And for that, definitely, they have been sending their people to fight for that same.
The thing is, how are they able to radicalize Indian citizens in Kerala to an extent where they thought that they have to take their wife and children also to go and serve for the cause of the Daesh? A proscribed organization with even nations in the Gulf have rejected. How is it that they were able to do this and then still stay under the radar and portray themselves as a very, very benign organization which has got no ulterior or nefarious motives or intent? That is shocking, absolutely shocking. Even as Shashikant ji, former DGP Punjab, joins us this evening, we got more news coming through. This is the third case. The third case, one of the many cases, 3 cases that we've been able to get access through. Arunima has been able to get us these details, where the link between PFI and the ISIS is established, and the investigation authorities are going to present these matters in court to make a case that the PFI was actively not just pushing ISIS ideology, it was also sending cadre to fight for the Daesh, and they had similar intentions, or they identified with that thought process. ISIS cell that was busted in the Valapattanam in Kerala. The suspect Hamza plotted to recruit Kerala youth to ISIS. Hamza planned ISIS recruitment with top PFI leaders. Plot to join ISIS after taking refuge in other nations. Suspects entered Syria via Saudi Arabia, Malaysia and Turkey. 2 PFI leaders, Safwan and Manaf, were killed in Syria. 5 suspects, including Hamza, nabbed by Kerala cops before joining the ISIS. This is the story that Arunima, again, feeder source, top PFI leaders involved, active recruitment job, using multiple countries as point of entry. So go on a travel visa or a visit visa to this country, so it looks individual, sporadic, nondescript, but eventually converge somewhere from where you can cross the border and enter into Syria. So that is namely Turkey.
Yes, and we've spoken about Hamza briefly at the start of the show, but just to detail what the NIA investigation says. It says Hamza was a hardcore Salafi follower who used to preach in support of not just ISIS but also Taliban. After declaration of the Islamic Caliphate in Iraq and Syria, Hamza convinced at least 2 people. Evidence has come up of at least 2 people, could be more. Muhammad Samir and Abdul Manaf, both of whom were members of the Popular Front of India, allegedly, and they were convinced about the need to perform hijrah from the land of quote-unquote infidels. Muhammad Samir indoctrinated in ISIS ideology, and he passed on that ideology, that indoctrination, to others like Shah Jahan VK. We just spoke about Shah Jahan in our previous conversation. And one more suspect who goes by the name of Muhammad Shajil. They then moved to Saudi Arabia. We've spoken about the Turkey, Syria, Malaysia route. There was a second route opened up via Saudi Arabia. So there was various, fronts that were being opened up for these indoctrinated individuals, and they were being told to go to Syria. If they were being deported, it's not that they were giving up their ideology or returning to normal life. They were sleeper cells, and the suspicion is that they were then being kept ready to strike terror against India and the people of this country.
Right. Arunima, thank you for your inputs. I have limited time in this segment, so just quickly get